So first question is for Aldis. In the series, we get to know Alex not only as a cop, but also as a father and family man. The
Mhm.
vulnerable person that may not have all the answers and is still trying to find out. I wanted to ask you, how important is it for today's cinema and seriality to show fragile and multifaceted man figures?
Oh, I feel like it's tremendously important because with Cross, we get to understand him from 360 degrees. Yes, we know the, I guess, the heroic detective that's always going to chase down the bad guy and stand for moral justice and fight the good fight. But we also get to learn who he is at home, what drives him, what makes him afraid. What is the chink in his armor? We get to know his family. We get to know his relationships, his friendship and brotherhood with Samson. That shows what built this person to be who he is. And it's very important to reflect that and represent that in television because the idea of what masculinity is, it's not all bravado and braggadocio and just being so, I said staunch and hard. It's about being vulnerable at times. It's about being open at times, really allowing yourself to love and to be loved. So this is not a caricature of masculinity what we think masculinity is. This is a real depiction of what makes a man. And that's what I love.
And Isaiah, Simpson is the friend that every man needs, even if they don't necessarily want to hear what he has to say sometimes. Can you talk about being that shoulder to lean on and also kind of the reasonable one in the duo sometimes?
I'm glad you said I'm glad you said reasonable one because as you saw, Alex sometimes, he gets caught in his own whirlwind and he's on the right path, but he just needs somebody to kind of shift him a little bit, just pull the winds over a little bit so he can focus and go do what he needs to do. I think Samson does that. It's not an easy job to tell your best friend, hey, you need a little help right now. But the fact that the show gets into that lets people know that this is real life. This is what really happens. Because that happens in life. You have these hard conversations between friends.
And if I may, the thing that I love about the show so much and what Ben Watkins did so brilliantly is that with the book series, like people love Samson. And this is the first time that the audience is going to be able to get exposure to who John Samson is. Samson has his own lane, his own stories, his own motivations. So we get to learn as much about Samson as we get to learn about Cross, not only through the case, but through their relationship. So the audience will be able to come here and get a full dose of, all these other characters that they love. But in Samson, they get to understand who he is, why he is. And for me, I mean, it makes it more fun to watch because now you got choices, you got favorites, you got everybody, but you get the whole world of Cross.
And the series is still a thriller at its core, but it may even be a horror, in my opinion.
Oh,
And you guys have already been familiar with this genre with The Invisible Man and It Chapter 2. But this
Yes.
time you had to face a different kind of terror, more subtle and maybe even scarier. How did you approach this challenge?
Yes, it is a thriller. Yes, it can be a horror sometimes. It is also, a family show. Sometimes it feels like a buddy comedy.
yeah.
That's also something that's a secret power to the show because it's so well rounded with tone and themes that we get pieces of it all. But as far as going into the mind of the killer, the reason that it can sort of bump up against the edge of horror is the fact that it's so current, timely, relevant, and real. We get to see how people, one might be motivated in this depraving way from an honest perspective. And then we get to see the good guys and the hoops they have to jump through to go actually catch this person. So for me, what makes it really interesting because I like to understand the mindset of people in terms of their motivations. Cross literally sits there picking apart and understanding the killer's mindset and the audience. He's taking the audience with him to help understand how they go about it. And then we also get to understand how Cross thinks. And I feel like that comes from the community around him most fervently through John Samson, who gets to help us understand why this man is motivated the way he is. So we get to know how they think. So when we're in there, we're not just watching, we are actually with them in the world of Cross as we, go through this journey.
And also, just one last thing about the character or the villain or the bad guy. He's entrenched in this world that he looks just like an everyday person that you may meet on the street,
which is what makes him scary.
Right. Whereas in the Invisible Man or Pennywise, they're somewhat supernatural. This is an everyday guy that you're dealing with, which is, everybody deals with these people.